Hey guys, this is Ras and Ashley, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we're talking about not running into burning buildings for people who like fire.
And we're not talking about people who find themselves in like an accidental fire and they need help. We're talking about people who will literally light the match, watch it burn, pour a little bit more gasoline on it, and then call you to come and save them. And then here you come, showing up like a firefighter with no training, no equipment, no business being there.
Yeah, we're talking about the Kanyes, okay? If, in case you're like, give me a visual, we are talking about the
Mm.
Kanyes, the people that just like, hey, you could just have not said that, and we wouldn't have had this fire.
I was gonna say the people who create chaos. I feel like I was literally just on a phone call earlier with a friend talking about people that create chaos and confusion, and
Mhm.
then it's like, well, if it isn't the consequences of my action.
Actually recently, like maybe a month or two ago, had to like have this conversation with someone where I was like, I just think you like drama. I just think at this point that you don't like peace because anytime you get peace, like you are presented with so many good opportunities and you somehow will find a bad opportunity buried somewhere in the backyard and you will go looking for it. You will dig it up, you will unearth it and then open it. And I don't know why you did this, but this has been a consistent thing. You gotta talk about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those folks,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, absolutely. And they can be exhausting types of people. And it's really hard because they tend to latch on to people who are like, I'm a good person and I'm a good friend. And like they always want to be there and like help and do things like that. And it's like they just find those people and they just run them dry, man. they This is why boundaries are beautiful. I'm very much like an advocate for that. And then they are really good at that victim role and like making things about them, making what's happening and like really diving into making people feel bad
Yeah.
so that like you're going to do this to me now. Like even when people try to assert themselves and are like I'm not doing this, I'm not getting involved, they're really good at being like you're going to do this to me now?
Yeah.
Look at all this mess I've started. Who's going to help me out of that?
Yeah. And I think I've talked about this on here before, but like one of the things I have to remind myself of is like, because don't get me wrong, I've definitely been caught up with this type of person before, definitely. And so one of the
Mhm.
things I definitely have to, because one, I think if you're a caretaker personality, if you're a natural person who like you see a problem, you're like, oh, let me solve it.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely one of those type of people. I'm like, oh, well, I'm here. I can solve stuff. So just solve it. That's what I do anyway. Um, but like I had to learn, like, and I haven't. I haven't. I still get caught up
Ah.
on it. But I'm better at stopping it now. I'm better at recognizing, like, you know what, this is what's happening. But those people who got a sob story for everything. Like
Mhm.
when you really sit back and you're like, every single story, it's not their fault. It just happened to happen to them. They got the like if you find yourself being like, damn, they gotta have the worst luck ever. Really
Mhm.
sit back and then start examining. Is it
Mhm.
bad luck
Mhm.
that they're always the victim? No,
Mhm.
that needs to be examined.
Mm. Mhm. I've had to point out in several circumstances to folks, hey, you are the common denominator. Isn't that something? All of these different people that have these things to say about you are coming from various walks of life, all over the globe. They don't even know each other. You know, they're from different ages, races, and places, and their story is always the same about you. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not here to, you know, investigate why that is, but there's definitely something to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my when I start recognizing like, dang, there's always a stop. Sorry. You ain't got no place to live. They just kicked you out, no notice, no, oh, that's weird. At your job, they fire you for no reason? That's the 3rd job they fire you for no reason? That's crazy. This woman, she's just crazy. She went crazy all on her own. You didn't do nothing to provoke them. Like, when I start you start calculating, you
Mhm.
gotta be like, this might be a person who loves."
Mhm.
And going back to kinda what we were saying of, like, a lot of times caregivers tend to be the people that these people target, the people that are just like, again, like definitely the people who have this belief, like, if you just love people hard enough,
Mhm.
they'll change. My love is what's gonna they just haven't been loved the way I love.
Mhm.
And once I come in here, I'm gonna love them so good that I'm gonna change their life. Um, but here's the thing, that does not work on this type of person.
Mhm.
That does not work on this type of person. They are gonna set fire to your love at some point.
Mhm. Even I think about this a lot with friendships more than romantic partnerships, but even it makes me think about I remember having a friend who had a lot of chaos, but also I always thought it was odd that they would always tell me, like, all these compliments that they would get. Like, people always coming up to be like, "You're doing a really good job, and you're blah, 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 and you're one of our best, and you're this and you're that." I was like, "That's interesting because I do great, and I don't get this shower with this many compliments in a day." Like, and I was talking to a supervisor, like, someone in my leadership about it, just kinda bringing it up that it was just an interest just something that was on my mind. And she was like, "Oh, I know that trick. That's that you're doing a good job now. I just need you to just get through this and stay calm
They're
and
gentle parenting them. They're gentle parenting them through their
Yes,
mom.
and the way she described it, I was like, that kinda makes sense. That's probably exactly what's happening. It's like, yes, it's because people are trying to always placate you to calm you down from starting some bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as people hate, like, the term gentle parenting, I see it being done in so many other examples of life that I'm like, "I don't know why y'all mad that we do this with children. We've been doing this with friends and family for years."
Grandparents and the like.
Hmm. But no, it's funny, yeah, I actually had this happen with a roommate before where it was just like it made me like, we were roommates maybe 4 months before I was like, "Oh, yeah, you the problem.
Mhm.
You the problem." Where yeah, it was just kind of like all these poor I don't wanna put the girl's business out there, but, like, all these situations just kept happening. That I was like, "Okay, now, like, we agreed, me and you gonna move in together. We're not bringing anybody in. Oh, you randomly got married. Okay, he's gonna stay in his place? Oh, now he can't live in his place no more. He has nowhere to
Mhm.
go." Right, right. But remember I brought this up. Oh, but oh, he lost his job. He's just staying for the weekend. It was just like one thing after the other. And I was like, this is why she doesn't have friends. This is why, like, every 3 months,
Mhm.
this is why she has not been friends with anybody for longer than a year.
Mhm.
I was slowly like, "Oh, okay, I get this is why you had issues at your internship. Okay, this is why you had issues on your job." Because
Mhm.
even, like, I remember she was telling me something, she was starting to have some issues on her job, and she was just like, "They're mad at me, and I can't help it my car broke down, and I can't help it da 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 da, and I can't help it da da da." And of course, it was this man. But all this stuff, and I was just like,
Mhm.
"Let me get out this lease," and I did. 4 months in, I was like, "I don't wanna break this lease." Like, you done moved this convict in without telling
Mhm.
me. She went behind my back and told the landlord, put him on the lease without telling it was a whole bunch of stuff. But
Yeah.
that was it for me. I was just, like, putting things together, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
anybody who has known you for longer than a year backs away."
Mhm. Mhm. And I've heard people say like, everybody's not gonna like you, but everybody should not hate you. Everybody
Word,
shouldn't hate your ass. If
word.
everybody at some point becomes some type of enemy to you, like something is wrong. And they feed off of that too. Like they will feed off of that and be like, I don't care. Don't nobody like me.
Mm,
No, you
I'm
should
a
you should investigate because it's kind of strange. Everybody shouldn't dislike you. That's not normal.
and we talked I think this was, like, the hater episode, but, like, again, if you're a celebrity, I get it because your name is so out there
Mhm.
that just you're
Mhm.
getting more people see you, people hate on you for random reasons. You
Mhm.
play too much, they play your music too much. They see you in too many movies, all of a sudden people turn on you. So, like, I get it. So, like, people who are, like, really out there, but, like, Susan in HR, you should not have enemies. Like, why do you have 5 enemies? That is
Mhm.
great. Like, when I meet grown people that are like, "Yeah, because they my enemies," and I just be like, "Why are we having enemies?" Like, it's one thing to have people that don't like you. It's a whole other thing, like, you have lasting feuds where, like, "Yeah, I can't go on to this side of town." What are you doing, Sarah? What are you doing? Why are this many bridges burnt? You got all of 100 Instagram followers. Why is this a thing?
But also, it's a lot much very like self-centered idea. Like, it's the type of person that makes everything about them too, because sometimes like things just aren't about you. They have nothing to do with you. You inserted yourself and you made it a thing, which is not a thing. I have watched someone close to me go through this recently, where they were, I'm trying to think of how to gently without giving too much, but um they were having something. I can't. I would have to be too
Yeah.
vague. It wouldn't make sense. But I have witnessed someone close to me going through this with a friend that they were, um, yeah, I'm dropping that because I can't
Yeah.
even. I've witnessed it happen. where where there's just people who make things about themselves that have literally nothing to do with them, and then they are like, "Oh, it's me and my thing," and it's like, no one was talking about you. We were talking about my thing. I was going to talk about my thing. How did you get hurt by my thing?
Yeah.
This is odd. This is strange. And if you aren't aware enough, you can just get swept up in their emotional chaos.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, you all revved up with them, but you have to stop and be like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
It's become about you.
But
Wait a minute. We weren't talking about you. We were talking about my thing.
like, what the fuck is happening?
When it comes to, and maybe just I don't know how we segue to it, because when it comes to weddings, this is a thing apparently. Because my cousin literally went through this. She had a trip, and she's a traveling somebody, but she couldn't go to like one thing, and was like, hey, I can come to this, but I wouldn't be able to go to that because like da 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 da, and I'll be traveling. And it was like, how dare you go on a birthday trip while I'm planning a bunch of bridal shower shit? Because it wasn't like the wedding. It wasn't like I can't be at the wedding. It was like I can't do a trip, a bachelor party, a fucking this, a whole
Yeah.
week long of events celebrating your ass. Like,
Girl, the way that I have wedding trauma, you know what I do think is because I do think there's people like this with their birthday. Like, I'm not a person that's like, my birthday, the world has to stop for me.
yes.
Even with like Neek's a big person, like she'll celebrate the whole month. And I always tell her, like, girl, you get a week. You get a love you,
Mhm,
but after that week, that's all you got from me. I
mhm,
love you from afar. But I think it's something about like it's promoted that this is your special time, this is your one time, this is your one and only. And so people just build up this idea in their head. Because I've had people do that around their birthday where there was like, this is
mhm.
my birthday. So you
I
have to go on this trip. Girl, don't nobody got money. I
thought
don't
about
know.
it, give a damn. I mean, yeah, with the no, and that's the thing. The expectations are getting higher and higher and higher. Even just a caveat back to weddings with the like destination weddings. Like, do not. First of all, the point of having a destination wedding is to know it's going to be small. Do not be offended because people don't want to. When I got time and money to travel, I don't want to come sit at your goddamn wedding.
Girl, it's
I
one
mean,
thing for
unless it's
me.
a close, you know what I'm saying? But just because, like, yeah, it's too much.
It's one thing to me when it's like I'm paying for everybody's because there's some people that will rent out a whole
Yes.
villa. And so then it's
Yes,
like, oh, I just gotta get my plane ticket. It's cool.
absolutely.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I saw there was like a SNL skit about bridal showers, bridal parties. And of course it was SNL. So they were like, I saw it on TikTok, but they were like making fun of it, of course, and joking. But like I was reading the comments and they were like, because one of the jokes was just like, even though it's gonna cost me $2,700 to be her bridesmaid between the dress and then we gotta go to bridesmaid weekend party in Nashville and all this. I was like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Well, like, why? Why? I thought I just had to show up in dresses. I thought I just had
Girl,
to show up and go to rehearsal. But
girl.
apparently, people are you have
Yes.
to go on like a weekend trip out of town somewhere for the bridal shower. No one is just having a party at their house or at the strip club anymore. It's a weekend long trip. You have to book the same makeup artist that she books. And of course, she books the most expensive makeup. Like, I didn't know this was things. People are
Mhm.
making them spend like $600 on a dress that they hate. Like, what
It's
are
terrible.
y'all doing?
It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, I don't have a bridal shower because I'm not interested in putting people through all that. It's not that serious. I mean, I wouldn't be putting nobody through all that anyway, but even that. But yeah, back to the birthday thing. Yeah, it's getting crazy. Like how you dress, you gotta come stepping, but you can't outshine me because it's my day and I'm the princess. Like, grow. up, grow up. You've had 36 birthdays. Get over it. Like, it's not that freaking serious. You ain't doing nothing but going to fucking, I don't know. Just
It's too much. It's
yeah,
too
it's too
much.
much. But yeah, I would imagine there's some sort of correlation between those types of people.
I definitely think so. And I do think one of the things you have to be like careful with is like not getting wrapped up in a savior complex.
Mhm.
And this can be hard because I think a lot of people with savior complex don't recognize they have a savior complex. And so for you, it's just like, I'm a good person and I'm a helper. And I da, 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 da. But it's like, okay, what is feeding the need behind that? And because when that feeds your ego and that was what makes you feel love and that's what's making you feel special, you can so easily become wrapped up in people who love chaos because they always need saving. So you're always needed. You're
Mm,
always, and you always get to shine as the hero, as the rescuer. But the thing with that is that they never give you a break. So every
mhm.
time you help them put out one fire, here comes another fire.
And I think in terms of like, I think it was hard to differentiate because there's nothing wrong with like wanting to be there for people and things, but I'm a believer of like your surplus is for other people.
Mhm.
So you have to be full first before you can even give to others.
Mhm.
And I feel like people are like, it's like, oh, that feels selfish, or it feels like, but it's not though. Like when we say you can't pour from an empty cup, you should I say you shouldn't be pouring from if it's half full. It need to be full and it needs to flow over and then they can have that. If you're not at that level, like, you need to be very cautious with where you're spending your energy. Caring for others, my partner was just we've been talking about this lately that caring for people is not free.
Mhm.
Like, it takes time and energy and effort, like, away from you, and there's nothing wrong with that when it's done, the right way, I guess, but it's not free. Like, people are like, "Oh, it's not takes not cost nothing to be kind." I mean, no, not in general, but, like, to, like, actively take care of people, to listen to people, to have there is a tax to that, and I think those of us that, like, actually, like, work in the helping profession, like, we know how you can spend a day working with people actively engaged and that drain is something
Mhm.
serious. You leave like, I mean, even if you sat at home all day on your laptop talking to clients, like you in that day, like I am exhausted. The emotional toll that this day has taken on me. It's something totally different than spending a day doing physical labor.
Yeah.
Not saying that's draining in its own way, but we discount
Yeah.
that level. Same with caretakers, people that take care of, you know, sick people or their family, children. Hell, it.
Yeah. There is so much science and articles around like people who are caretakers for their spouse, like spouses that become chronically ill and they have to caretake.
Mhm,
There's so much research that talks about like it cuts years out of their life
mhm, mhm,
because
mhm.
it's exhausting taking care of someone. And that's not to say don't take care of nobody at all. But like if it's gonna take away from me, then it better be for someone who's damn worth it. And
Mhm.
that means it can't be everybody. And here's the thing,
Yeah.
half the time these people don't even want to be saved. They literally just want an audience.
Yes. Yes, you
I
cannot save them. There is no saving them. It's like, yeah, you pick oh, I had a visual example it left me of, it's like you pick them up and they just like fall back into like,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I
Like,
was
I'm thinking about the baby. There's, like,
yeah.
a video going around of, like, the baby that's, like, stuck his hand in something and their mom comes and pulls it out, and then the baby sticks their hand right back in it and starts crying again.
Yeah, it's like they're doing it for a
Mhm,
crowd. They're doing it for attention. For some of them, they're doing it because that's all they know how to do. So there is no point in you scheduling your piece around their poor decision making.
mhm.
So, how do you know you are always running into fire for folks? We got a little bit of a checklist. So the first thing is you are always talking this person down. Every
Mm,
time y'all do a check-in, it's never just, "Hey girl, how's life? What's going on? That's cool." And it's just a regular conversation. No, every time you see their name, you know, I'm gonna have to talk this person down out
okay.
of their latest bad decision.
Yes. or they've already done it and now they're just calling to like vent about the like the results. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, if I've literally a friend that is definitely cut off now say I've said that to someone like you only call me on the worst day of your life. You don't ever call just to say hi and see how I'm doing. I can't even get a word in with your bullshit, you know?
I have a girlfriend right now who actually, we were just talking about this last week, who called me because they're having issues with one of their friends. And they're like, they're like, every time they talk to me, I get mad because I'm mad at the situation they're in. I'm mad. I'm more mad than them. By the time we hang up, I'm more mad than they are. And it feels so draining. And they're like, what do we do? And I was like, boundaries. I was like, boundaries, I cut them off. And
Mhm.
they're like, well, no, because they're going through a hard time. And I kept being like, okay, but now you're going through a hard time. Like either put up the boundaries or cut this person off.
That's the thing too. I think also being we even got away from checklist, but also being like aware of yourself because some people are a little bit more sensitive that than others. Like they're just the veil is just thinner for them, right?
Yeah.
Like they could hear about a bad situation and they're like, oh, like I've met people like that where it's like, oh man, what's wrong? And it's like my sister's cousin auntie was in a car accident. I
Yeah.
feel like fuck they can't do with you. But some people are just more sensitive than that, okay? So if you know you're that person, look, put your guard up.
Like,
But also,
definitely.
if you could like not be that person and not let everybody's stuff always affect you, like that is you wearing yourself thin, man.
But here's the thing. I think that for some people that can't help it. I do think there are people who
Mhm,
are just natural empaths. Like if they hear like I can't help it, I'm gonna feel everything you're feeling.
mhm,
But if you are that person, you have to learn how to protect your energy. And
mhm,
sometimes protecting your energy is like just not putting yourself in a position to have to feel those things.
mhm,
And I think that goes actually back to our checklist. Like, are you emotionally exhausted after every interaction with this person?
mhm.
Does this person drain you? Do you find yourself seeing their name on your phone and going, okay. All right.
You need a long nap after y'all get off the phone, like, exhausted.
Yeah.
Another thing on the checklist is do you find yourself giving advice that they never follow? Ugh, but they always complain about the same thing. I feel like I'm having flashbacks. Everything I'm just like, yes, I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're just like, yeah, they keep calling with it. And at some point you're just like, you have to love this. You love it, don't you? And they're like, no, I don't. I want things to change. You don't.
Yeah.
I've told you 6 months ago. Stop. You keep yeah, the advice is plain, it's clear. We all can see what they need to do. You've told them a million times. What are we doing here? Like,
Now, see, this is one where I'm lucky. This is one that doesn't really face me as much because I feel like a lot of the people in my life know you got 3 times before I say, don't talk to me about this no more. Just don't talk to me about
yeah,
this no more. I don't care if it sounds
yeah.
rude or not because I'm like, we worked on
Mhm,
a plan already.
mhm.
We talked about what you need. We talk about what we're getting from this and what we're not. We went through all the steps. I ain't got time to keep going through this with you because now I'm getting mad because now I'm starting to think you stupid. Like now I'm really
Yeah.
starting to feel away about you because you keep putting yourself in this situation.
I saw mad because you wasted my time. I gave you good advice. I mean my expertise was involved in this, and you just what
Do you
did
know how
nothing.
much debt I had to gain to get the knowledge to help you
Right.
with that problem?
People pay me to help. You got
I
this for
charge
free.
150 an hour to give you what I just gave for free, for the free.
Right.
Check my reviews. I'm a 4.9 rated. And you didn't take this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasting
Give
all
it
my UC education. Yeah.
yeah.
It's infuriating because like, girl, we could have been doing something else with that time.
Like, stop looking at his story. Just get him off of your page and then you won't have to worry about what he doing and you can start moving on. And then they call you 3 days later. He just posted that he's bruh. Bruh. I can't do this with you no more.
Look,
Mm-mm.
there's a meme that I see all the time that's like, thank you to the girl who lets me talk about the same thing 50,000 times until you get it over with. I am not her. I am not her. I'm not.
Mhm.
It's one thing if it's, I'll say certain things. There's certain topics, right? So,
Mhm.
like, my best friend, her partner passed away. So, grief. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
we did five
Yeah.
years where, yeah, girl, we talk about all the time. But again,
Yeah.
intentional chaos that you put yourself in, no.
Right. 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 Right.
So
Right.
checks and balances again, this is not to say don't be there for your friends.
Yeah.
Again, the focus is on the people who like running into fires.
Right. It's
One,
having some discernment. Yeah. You can be there like, I don't want anyone who's like a gentle, open, caring person. Like, you don't have to change who you are, but you definitely have to practice some discernment. Otherwise, you're just going to be wearing yourself out with this person who, like you pointed out earlier, they don't actually want to be better. They don't actually want to move past their thing. So they don't want your advice.
yeah,
They just call it an event. And at some point, it's for, and even for those people, sometimes to say, if you just want to vent, just say that. Just,
yeah,
just say that so that I know what to do. I know to just sit here and go, girl,
right.
yeah, and not get all emotionally riled up with you. Because for what? Let's see. Another thing from our checklist is feeling like your love is a full time job with no benefits. Like it's work. They're making it hard. And I feel like it feels kind of callous saying that because we are in the age of like people trying to be more vocal about their mental health needs and depression, like all of these things. Um, and I think that's great. I also don't think that it changes the fact that those things can be draining on the people who are there for you. Like, and I don't think that it's unreasonable to ask that even if you're going to lean on others, that you be considerate of them as well.
Yeah,
And so we're talking about the kinds of people who are not considerate of you. They make it hard. You're trying to be there for them. You're trying to love them through it or whatever, especially if it's a romantic partner. Like, I'm trying to love you through this, but you are making this so hard.
yeah,
I am constantly working at this. You are never pleased. You are
yeah.
never okay.
I mean, the way I look at it when I've had to do these check-ins is asking myself, is this person resistant to progress?
Mhm,
When it starts feeling like, no, you don't want to change because there's so many things we can do, you refusing to do the things. You're
mhm,
refusing to get a therapist. You're refusing to have some standards. You're refusing to stand on business. You are refusing to take your medication. Are they resistant to progress? And again, people are allowed to have their moments. They're allowed to have time to take time to do things. There are some things, boundaries, it takes time to build boundaries. That's the thing. It does take time to see progression in therapy. But like, again, use some discernment. At what point is it this person's just using this as an excuse and they're not actually making any progress? And sometimes you can see that by are they making additional choices that makes things worse?
mhm.
Okay, you with this man, he is horrible to you. He's always cheating. He's always lying. So you got pregnant by him the third time? He don't even pay for the first two kids.
Yeah.
Want me to be the third one's baby godmother too? I'm already basically paying child support for the first two god babies. Like, are you
Mhm,
resistant towards progress?
mhm, mhm. Or you're like, now we talked about this and you was just supposed to go over there and say ABCD. Now you done went over there and started slapping people and carrying on. Now you done lost your job or whatever the case may be. But no, the comment about pregnancy made me think about one of Nick Cannon's baby mamas gonna try to, I guess she called herself putting him on blast on Twitter. Girl. Because he posted something and she was like, go comment back, like, are you gonna come see your kid? It's been a month. Miss
At
ma'am.
10. Don't he got like 10 or 11?
More, yeah. You know how many kids that man had when you chose to get in the lineup. It's only 30 days in a month. He don't got time to tell them damn kids that you do that. So what are you talking about? The internet has no sympathy for you. Don't nobody care. I don't even know why you put this on out here for the public. You know how to get him to come. You schedule a photo shoot,
Mhm.
and then he will.
Look, and
But you know what you signed up for.
I don't know. We have the whole babies are blessing crowds, but babies are also bills. Babies are also expensive. Babies, you have to put emotional input into them as well. And so bringing a baby into a situation that you know is hell on wheels already.
Don't have any babies you don't wanna take care of yourself. I think that's a clear I had a friend tell me that years ago, and she was, because she was going through her own thing, and she was like, "I now see why." She was like, because she was fine. She was like, I it would have been great, obviously, if the father had been willing to co-parent and go along with her, but she was like, "I had her because I wanted to, not because I was trying to do this thing with him." But if you're, like, upset and bitter about it, those be the ones that's, like, constantly going back, and that's not to, like, that is not to take away the responsibility of that man being involved, but, yeah, I just don't think it's wise, honestly, like, if you're not okay with the possibility that you might be by yourself raising that child, don't do it.
You and me, I don't know, and it might be in the episode with you too, because I'm actually releasing our Mother's episode that we did a couple weeks back. But I know I released the one with me and Neek talking about this, and one of the things I said in that episode, because we were talking about having kids later in life, and one of
Mhm,
the things I said in that episode, for me, children are always when I'm always thinking about, like, do I want more kids? It's always about, can I get up and go with this amount? Can I get
mhm,
up and go? Like, if I have to leave this man because he playing in my face, can I
mhm,
get up and go with 5? I can't. I can't. I know Imma try to I know I don't wanna deal with 5 on my own. I can do it with this one. I can do it with
mhm,
this one.
mhm,
Her
mhm,
Look, I already know how to make escape plans. I might be able to do it too. I won't push it. I won't push it. But, like, you have to
mhm.
think about those things because yeah, yeah, I know it feels harsh saying, like, "Girl, why you keep having babies by that man?" But, like, why? There's so many ways to prevent it, and then even if you make a mistake, abortion pills are still legal to be mailed to you in all 50 states.
Yeah, I think about this when I see people, like, in mommy groups that are like, "I haven't slept in years, and but we're on our 3rd child that doesn't sleep at night," and I'm like, "Why do you keep letting that man get on top of you, and you can't hold the baby while you take a nap?" I'm so sorry, but I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's other, unless it's like an abusive situation, but other outside of that, like, I'm like, what's happening here?" But
I mean, don't worry, Imma
we
have to accept.
digress.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to those of us who, like, do the running into the fire to save the folks, right? Sometimes I think we do that because it is kinda going back to what we said a couple minutes ago, it feels good to feel needed, or
Mhm.
because we think, like, if we stop showing up, it means we don't care, or for some of us, it's, "But I'm all they have." But, like, here's the thing, you can still love someone and refuse to burn with them. You
100%.
do not have to sacrifice yourself for
Mhm,
someone who keeps starting fires.
mhm. This is also why self-love and self-care is so important, because you're absolutely right, like, that's because you will want to keep yourself from getting burned from their mess when you have that level of, like, it's nice to feel needed, but also I think that's part of the chaos too, when people make you feel like only you can be there for them, like, "I need you in order to get me through this," and again, once, twice, I don't know, one off, but when it's always that, it's like, "Okay, friend, when do you develop coping skills? When do you, um, diversify your village? Get some other friends." I have no problem being like, okay, I used to say, "I ain't nobody's emergency contact," but now I'm one person's. One person's
Okay,
just that one, okay?
okay.
I'm not, like, I've had people try to put me in that position, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. What were you doing for 32 years before I showed up? How did I become?" I'm not trying to be that person in your life. Like, that's a lot. And that's me being realistic about what I can do. You got a lot going on. You need people who can do that. Or you need to broaden your, that's a part of being resilient too, is having other people in your circle that can be there for you. And again, if you, and maybe this is also a notice for people who have stuff. Like, yeah, sometimes life, you're like, but my life is just hard. And I just always have some. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about that. Right? You also have to be considerate of the people that you are leaning on. you can't always lean on one person. Your whole life cannot depend on that one person because when you break them, which you inevitably probably will,
Yeah.
then what do you have?
Yeah.
And I've seen this, I know a young person that had their partner break up with them because of just that reason. They were just like, "I cannot keep being your everything. You are always in a place, something's always going on, and I can't do it anymore." And she just fell to pieces because you were leaning so heavily on someone that you wore them down, and they finally were just like, "I literally can't do it anymore." And
Mm.
now what do you do?
Diversify your help,
Mhm,
diversify your safety. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And like, here's my thing. I know you are very much a person that's like, no, I'm only one person's emergency contact. But here's the thing. For some of us, we do like being there for folks. For some of us, it is. But it's again, learn how to do it within limits. I am a
mhm,
person that tends to be there for a lot of different people. I am a lot of different people's like, oh, I know I could talk to rest type person. But I also have a lot of rules and boundaries with these folks.
mhm,
I had a friend again go through a hell of a lot last year. They went through a hell of a lot. And I had to like recognize, like, also, they were starting a lot of these fires. And we had to have a conversation. And I had to put a boundary with them, like, hey, I get it that you are spiraling right now, but also you have a therapist. I need you to call them before you call me. You cannot call me after this time.
mhm,
They called me
mhm,
one time at 3 a.m. and they were going through something. Like they really were like spiraling, and I was there for them. But then
mhm,
second and third time, by the time we got to third time, I was like, hey, I got a child. Don't call me at 3 a.m. I need
mhm,
to be the last person. If you have to call me at 3 a.m., it needs to be because you called 4 other people
yeah,
and they couldn't like and because again, sometimes people really are going through stuff. Sometimes, and I'm not saying like leave those people out in the cold, not at all, but you have to put in some safety measures for
mhm,
yourself. And that can look like that.
mhm,
Also, like with that particular person, I also had to have like conversations with them about diversifying their health, where I was like, you used to have a whole circle of people. Why is it that I'm the only person you talk to on a regular?
mhm,
Why what is go back and reach out to them. Go have a friend day, start a group chat. You have to put in those boundaries. It doesn't have to be so like, okay, cold cut. If you want to be there, okay, but do it with boundaries. Do it so that
mhm,
it does not exhaust you. And that looks like not have to answer every chaotic phone call
mhm,
without feeling guilt. That can look like being able to walk away from their antics. That can look like saying, look, you know what? This ain't my fire, and I ain't no firefighter. I do not have the skills for what you need.
mhm,
Girl, this is the blind leading the blind. I don't know what to tell you. Girl, I do not have the emotional capacity to handle this right now. You have to be able to put in those boundaries for to protect yourself.
mhm. And don't be and, like because again, expect the backlash because especially if you're dealing with a super chaotic person, they're gonna start spinning it, right? Like, when you're as soon as you try to pull away, it's gonna get bigger. It could easily become more chaotic, right? They're trying to pull you back in. But I need, and if you don't, I can, and blah, blah, blah. Especially when you're talking about like toxic romantic partnerships, that can be a thing too. Like, if you're not here, I'm gonna kill myself. I am so sorry, but I that's not my decision. I can't be your lifeline in that way.
When I was in my 20s, I dated someone that did that. We were in a like 2-year long relationship. And when I decided, like, hey, I can't do this anymore, for months, they would call me and be like, I'm going to kill myself. I got a gun. You know, there's woods behind my house. They would send me text messages, tell my mama I love them. And at first, they did reel me in because I still cared
Mhm,
about them. And I was
mhm,
concerned about their mental health.
mhm.
And so there was like a month or 2 where I was just like, "Look, please don't do this," and, blah, blah, blah. And then it got to the point that I was just like, "All right, cool. I'll let your mama know." Like, that was my response. I was in my
Yeah,
early 20s. That's not how I
but
respond now, but
right.
still having to put those boundaries in because it became clear to me, like, you are using this to lure me in. This has not
Mhm.
you don't plan to do it. And here's the thing, some people might actually be planning to do it. That's
They
still not
might.
your problem. And that sounds mean and that sounds cruel. However, most of you guys are not capable of handling that level
Mhm,
of emotional breakdown,
mhm,
and you will burn yourself out trying to handle that. Even
mhm,
clinicians that are trained with that, a lot of times when clinicians have a client that commits suicide, your supervisor is coming in to talk to you. Do you need a break? Do you need
Mhm,
to take some time for self-care? How
mhm,
about we take you off your let's clear your schedule for a couple of days so you can process that. It is hard for the people who are trained to handle that. Do not let yourself get wrapped up in that.
mhm, mhm. Okay, you can point folks in the right direction. Friend, have you reached out to this? Friend, I can drive you to the hospital. I can do these things, but I can't keep doing this back and forth with you because at the end of the day, that's gonna be, and then it's to help people feel better about it. At the end of the day, that's their decision. People, and I don't want to go too deep in it because I know people get really sticky around suicide because it is a very sensitive subject, but also, um, it is their life to do with as they choose. And yes, it is unfortunate. There are circumstances where people have trauma, all these other things that like piled up to it. But when someone is using it as a threat to pull you in, you can't fall for that. You just can't. And you have to, in the way, like to check yourself. Because like I said, I've been in those situations too. And to check myself, I have to say, you know what, Ashley, it's not my life, it's their life.
Mhm.
And what they choose to do is on them, but I can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
I love you. I wish you the best. Or I love you, and here's some things that I can do for you, and here's what I can't do for you.
Mhm.
Here's who you need to call.
Mhm.
I got a number for you. I got a resource for you. And if you can't utilize those things, I am so sorry. Like, but I gotta go.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no point of both of you guys being set on fire.
Mhm,
And that's what happens sometimes when you're dealing with people who are emotionally manipulative. And if somebody is using suicide as a bargaining chip, that is emotionally manipulative. Does not mean their emotions aren't real. It does not mean they're not really in pain, but they are using that pain to manipulate you. And that is unfair. And that puts a lot of people in situations again where you guys are now both on fire. If you want to, you can tell them, hey, and here's the number 988. This is suicide hotline.
mhm,
I am not capable of handling this. Like as she said, I love you. I wish you the best. But now we're getting into territories where I am just struggling to trying to deal with your fires right now. And so this is the resource, but I have to back away. I'll check on you maybe if you want to,
mhm,
or I wish you the best. But
mhm,
again, like you said, it's a tricky subject. And I think sometimes people yeah, feel like, but I'm all they have and they have so much to live for. And if I can just be there and I can, again, as someone who both of us have dealt with people putting us in that situation, I
mhm,
get it. I know it's hard. I'm not saying this without experience.
mhm,
But also like that was a situation that literally mentally exhaust I ended up back in the therapy. By the time I got done with that relationship, I was back in there because I was so burnt out from just being their token go-to person.
mhm,
And you have to take care of self.
mhm. So yeah, so sometimes when you're trying to pull away, if somebody can make it that big. Now somebody's struggling this one, but yeah, but you'll have people who will keep trying to get it bigger, to stir it up, to create more chaos, to pull you in closer, and yeah, you got to be firm.
Yeah. I want to talk about something else before we go to this because I think
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
insensitive.
Not a great thing.
Yeah. Let them die. Just let them die. No, that's not how I want to end
That's
it.
not what we said. That's not what we said. But okay.
Oh gosh, what is another mm. We can also talk about like usually these type of people always have somebody else in the wings. They usually always find another victim. Is that also too cruel? Okay. All right. All right.
No,
They
you
usually do. They
you're talking to
usually
me.
do.
You're talking to me. You know, I don't think what, shoot, I don't care. I know for other people, this is a sensitive type of amusement.
Oh gosh.
But yes, moving on from that because that's we know that's sensitive. But yes, back to setting those boundaries for yourself, for your own mental health. And also sometimes people who are in those situations who create that type of chaos, they'll just latch on to somebody else, unfortunately, probably.
Yeah, I have definitely. I remember, matter of fact, I remember being friends with somebody who was like this. And it's just it was just if we solve one problem, they got a new one by that afternoon.
Mhm.
And I remember feeling like I can't leave. I can't because I'm the only person still there, which also something to look at. Why are you the only person still there? Why has everybody else backed away? Why has everybody evacuated the building but you? But yeah, I was the only one there. And it finally got to a point where had that thought like, dang, there's a reason why everybody else is smart enough to back away. There's a reason why I'm the only one still left in this burning building with you. And I was like really hesitant, but I was like, I have to do it for self. And so I did back away. And I was just so afraid of like, how are they going to survive? Are they going to be okay? Do you know by the next week they had a new bestie?
Mhm.
Like,
Mm.
by like, literally, it was the next week on Facebook. It was like, "Me and my girl, because we're friends, da, 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 da." And they slowly drained the life out of her. That person actually ended up reaching out to me like, "Hey,
Mhm.
experience this with them?" And I was like, "Mhm, yeah, I did." She was like, "They changed the story differently." I bet they did. They also told me the girl before me was a different story. Yeah, yeah. They will find your replacement.
Oh my gosh. You just brought something else up where it's like these types of folks behind the scenes, there's a little support group forming of all of the the friends to pass, right? They're forming their hey, did this hey, I'm calling to say that I understand. And I too have been burned by such and such. Do you want to talk about it? That is a thing that happens. I've witnessed it. Even like, oh, you make me think about the toxic job again because again, I think she was one of the people that just kept up so much freaking
Yeah.
mess. And literally after I left that job, do you know how many people have called me and I have called people to be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you okay?" Because I like I heard you when you told me this was a thing earlier, and it's not that I didn't believe you, but I just want to say I I understand on a different level now. You have to talk about it together.
Right.
You
Right.
have your own little support group of all the people lying in their wake, all the people that they've burned through.
It's so funny you mention that because I too had a job where when I left, people reached out to me, like, "How can I leave too? How can I?" They was just like, "Hey, did you"
Mhm.
like, same type of deal, actually, same type of deal, where they
Mhm.
were like, "I didn't realize how many fires you were blocking from getting to us."
Mhm. Mm. Mm.
And then when
Okay.
you left, it was fire. Was it always fire? I was like, "Oh, it was always fire."
That's always fun.
I had an extinguisher and
Right
mine
there.
eventually ran out, and so I left, and so, yeah, I was still in the building. My bad.
Mhm.
But, like, yeah, no, there was always fire in there. But, like, yeah, I
Mhm.
really had people reach out like, "We was that always fire? Because you left, and all of a sudden it seemed like, no, they were always like that."
Mhm. And that too, because we're talking about in a professional setting, but that can happen in a friendship as well, where it's like you're their buffer or a relationship, a romantic partnership too. Like you're their buffer, right? Like you're keeping things looking like it's okay as they continue to fall apart and just do nonsense here and there. And you're the one that's like making it making it look like it works. And then yeah, usually when that person steps aside, that buffer steps aside, it's like, wait a minute, were they always this much of a mess?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, they were. You just didn't know because I was working overtime to make sure that this shit looked like it was running smooth.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't wanna veer too much into it because this is not where we're experts at. Shout out
Mhm.
to Danny, this is her area. But even, like, it's reminding me of, like, people who are in a relationship with abusive people, and then when they finally are like, "I had to leave because 'cause they're abusive," and you see a lot of, victims get backlash because 'cause they're like, "No, they're not, and y'all was so happy that" and it's like, "Y'all don't understand, I'm the one who was making this thing look good."
Mhm.
Y'all don't understand how much buffering I have done to make it seem like we was a happy family while this
Mhm.
fire was going on in this house this whole time.
Mhm.
Like you said, it is a thing. It's a thing. It can be in jobs, it can be in friendships, it can be in relationships. But yeah, it is a thing where it's yeah. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Mhm.
I definitely experienced that with friends. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. You're like, yeah, they was getting to work because I pulled them up out the gutter and slapped some lipstick on them and shit, I was the
Yeah.
one that was me.
Yeah. It's a thing. So just let this episode be your reminder. You deserve peace. that doesn't come with a fire extinguisher. Some people aren't looking for healing, they are looking for enablers.
Mm.
And you aren't that anymore. You're evolving, you're glowing, you are choosing peace and pleasure and boundaries. Because growth ain't just about who you bring with you, it's also about who you finally stop rescuing. So, we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you give us a like, review wherever you're listening, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy, and we'll have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. All right. Bye.
Man.